In this video, I'm going to talk about the new album by Gravedigger called Symbol of Eternity. The album was released on August 26th, 2022. I actually didn't listen to this when it first came out. For some reason, it didn't catch my attention. But now I'm thinking, how did I miss this? Gravedigger is a German heavy metal band and a power metal band. They've been around a long time. This is their 21st album. We'll be honest, this is a band I have heard of. I recognize the name, but I was unfamiliar with their music, so I kind of went into this as like a newcomer. So my first impression of this band was that the band, they play heavy riffs similar to like thrash or speed metal or something like that Painkiller era Judas Priest. They have these song structures that are more reminiscent of classic heavy metal with a hint of power metal in their sound. This is all brought together with song titles and lyrics dealing with war and battle, just very epic songs. The band is not really easy to compare to others, just a mixture of like Manowar, Metal Church, Accept, Halloween. I guess that's how I can compare them. The album is 13 songs, 49 minutes long. It's really a good like song number to length ratio for a heavy metal album. There are 2 short instrumentals, so it's basically 11 full songs. Song titles all have like these fantasy type lyrics, similar to something like Saxon or Manowar. And a lot of song titles about going into battle, war, and that type of lyrical content. The first song, Siege of Akkon, this is the first of the 2 instrumentals I was just talking about. Basically, it sets a tone for the album. It's a very epic sounding score. Getting ready to go into battle with that type of thing, leading up to the next song. So that's Battle Cry. And I'm listening to the first song, and the first real song. My first impression is that like the guitar riff in the introduction sounds a lot like thrash metal. So it's a band that's not afraid to get heavy, but it's a song with a structure like typical heavy metal. Most of the guitar riffs come from traditional heavy metal, and the overall tone of the song has more of like a power metal feel. So it's a good intro track. And Is My Purgatory is a fist-pumping heavy metal anthem. It's a type of song that would probably do well in a live setting. Something you could sing along to, but at the same time, it's very heavy, very melodic. One thing I noticed that during the guitar solo, they're playing some of that neoclassical sound, something similar to what the band Accept does. And I also enjoyed like that bass guitar intro. So this is another good song. King of the Kings is a song with an opening riff similar to thrash metal, and even the verse section, they have these really like chunky, palm muted guitar riffs. But once the chorus comes in, it's more of like a power metal type of song. Symbol of Eternity, that's a title track, and I noticed that this is a band not afraid to slow it down, and I really enjoyed the opening guitar riff, kind of more like classic doom metal, but the song is a power ballad and has an epic feel, both clean and distorted guitar riffs. The second instrumental, Saladin, just a short song setting the tone for the one that follows, called Knights of Jerusalem. This one just has like Middle Eastern wind instruments, just very short, going into Knights of Jerusalem. And that's classic heavy metal. This one reminded me a lot of Metal Church, specifically their earlier albums. I tried listening to the lyrics, and I believe it's taken from like a historical story. I'm not really positive about that. Going into a Heart of a Warrior, and it's just epic speed metal or thrash metal mixed with classic heavy metal. What stood out for me on this song is that the guitar solo had a neoclassical sound and even a little bit of an Iron Maiden influence. And Grace of God starts with a classical acoustic guitar section. The main song starts, it has an epic power metal feel, opposed to those like previous songs that were more heavy metal and speed metal. They do have some heavy chunky riffs, but they add in some folk metal during like the middle of the song. Sky of Swords is more of a power metal song, has an upbeat tone with fantasy lyrics talking about going to battle, things like that. Very melodic as opposed to the other songs, which were like a little chunkier. Holy Warfare, another classic heavy metal and power metal type of song, something like the band Saxon, or maybe it's just the title. I think that Saxon kind of writes titles like that. Then the Last Crusade, which is actually a Saxon album, but this one's a little slower, very epic sound, kind of like slower power metal. They add keyboards and it's like a thicker sound. And this one they talk about like the Spanish Inquisition, so there is that like historical aspect of the song. They do some of that like Iron Maiden style galloping guitar rhythms right before the guitar solo. So that's pretty cool. Last song, Hellas Hellos, or Hellas Hellas. It's in a foreign language, so I didn't recognize it. So I had to like do a quick Google search, and I discovered that the song is in Greek, and I think that's a name for like the Greek people. It's classic heavy metal, kind of like in the style of like classic Judas Priest. So in conclusion, I thought it was good. This band isn't doing anything groundbreaking. The songs are very reminiscent of all those other metal bands that I have been mentioning throughout this video. But at the same time, the album is consistent. It's solid, it's enjoyable. Songs have good structure, not too long, not too short. They don't do anything out of the ordinary. There's no filler tracks, just classic heavy metal, and that's pretty much all I have to say. My score is an 8 out of 10. It's just very good. It's solid. So that's all. My next video will be doing the best metal albums of August part 2. If you know my channel, you know that I always do one around the 15th, and then I do another video around the 30th. This is going to be covering all of the videos released between August 15th and August 31st. So I'll have that one out tomorrow. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next